My name is Chris Peden. I'm the organizer here. And I just wanted to take a second and have our coffee provider give a little introduction.
All right.
Hi guys. So my name is Peden. I'm the general manager over at Uno's Pizzeria and Grill. So we have a lot going on coming in the summer months, everything. So we have a touch truck. So we have kids. It's a wonderful event. We basically have fire trucks, cement mixers, police cars, all of that. The kids actually get up into the trucks. And on top of that, kids eat free. We're gonna have a bounce house. We're gonna have possibly a face painter. It's one of my big events. It's my baby event. Because I'm all about teaching kids when they're out of school. So we also have, of course, $5 pizza Mondays. That's every Monday. You come in and you can get $5 pizzas. Normally they're $13. So it's a really great deal. We're reinventing a lot of the stuff. We just recently lost our old GM. So with me coming in, we're just changing a whole bunch of stuff. So it's a lot of fun. I have a lot of really great staff. We brought in some new people. So I would love for you guys to basically come in and come and see my building and get the wonderful experience that Uno's I know provides. We are the inventors of deep dish, so if you're gonna go there, get deep dish. It's amazing. 75 years, we've got it right at this point. So that's a little bit about Uno's. Anything I missed?
What's the date of Touch a Truck?
August 22nd. It's the third Thursday.
Will you bring flyers when you're here?
I will.
So last time you brought coffee here, you were not the general manager, so congratulations.
We're having Super Dave come out and he's going to be doing karaoke. We just redid our patio completely. And so come out and sing your heart out and get a couple of happy hour drinks. That's what's better than that going out and sing Super Dave? So, yeah, Super Dave, I love it. So come on out, guys. I really appreciate it. And I'm a part of this. We're doing a lot of community outreach, so thank you guys so much for allowing us to be a coffee sponsor. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and we also have, you're in the Centrifuge building. Do we have someone here to do a Centrifuge minute? Let's talk a little bit about the building.
We have Valerie.
Have some.
She'll do it. So I see a lot of new faces, and I would love to show you guys around Centrifuge. The bottom floor of this building, the entire bottom floor, is a co-working space, and there are different subscriptions and with the different prices and different amenities. We want you to bring your company here, even if you have multiple people. We have conference rooms for rent that are very reasonably priced, and you can rent them by the hour. You don't have to rent them in full-time blocks during the day. And I would be happy to tour anyone that wants to tour the building after this session. And that's the moment.
Thank you. All right, so I want to have everybody go around and introduce themselves. Just say your name, your company, and we'll just go around the edge here. So, sir.
Dustin Siggins, Proven Media Solutions.
Joel Lowry with JLL Solutions.
Tiffany Ashnow, Brandon Property Management.
Bill Hicks, Sandy Spring Bank.
Caleb Briscoe with Lockwood Management.
Christina Schnack-Cotler, Prince William County Moms.
No, I'm going around the room here. Anthony?
Anthony, if you're a cover keepers in home care.
You're right.
I'm Uriah Kaiser. I'm the publisher for Tone Local News and one of the founding organizers of 1 Million Cups.
Ron with Tigo Project Management.
Andrew Olson with Hard Hits Promotional Products and Customer Care.
We just had you all
You
introduce
already
yourselves. So, right here.
I'm Valerie with Whitlock.
Well, I just assumed everyone knew who you were, otherwise I just got it.
Everyone knows Valerie.
Who is she?
Run, Dustin.
Jetty Peden County Services.
Trevor Lomax, Fairgate Capital, we face flip properties in the DC metro area.
Lillian Rachel with Lillian Rachel Voiceover.
Jackie Jose with Coach Jackie
introduce yourself.
I did.
Oh, you did, okay.
Actually,
Actually, that was on purpose.
I can do that.
Now, the reason I want to come back here is she's speaking next week, so be sure to come back here, invite your friends, she's going to give an excellent presentation about her business. So, my name is Chris Peden. I am one of the organizers here, also with Peden Accounting Services. And Dustin had spoken here before, and we have actually gotten to know each other, talk a little bit. And as we were kind of shooting a breeze one night about our businesses, was that, because that's what you do as a business owner, is you talk to other business owners, which is one of the purposes here of Centrifuge. And he was talking about, he off the cuff mentioned that he had just done an interview with Mark Cuban. Does everyone know who Mark Cuban is?
Yeah.
That was my response. Hello. How did you get Mark Cuban? I mean, for me, that's like someone saying, oh, well, yeah, I was just talking with Jack Nicklaus the other day. How did you do that? So that led to a discussion about one thing we always look for when we're business. We want to land the big fish. So, did that open up?
It opened up, but it's not on.
Okay.
Pause.
Pause.
You worked so hard to get that all set up perfectly.
Can't keep hitting the buttons. So, as this warms up, that's what we wanted to talk to you all about today, was that landing the big fish. Everybody wants that big score. In the 1980s movie Wall Street, it was, you're going to bag the elephant, as Charlie Sheen had said. So, right. This is what happens when you put an accountant in charge of a presentation.
I said I would do it. You insisted.
I know. Getting a big client in this location you must have. So, I was talking with Dustin about that, and we wanted to talk to you a little about it. So, Dustin, do you want to get started?
Sure. So everyone, I think everyone should have some cards in front of them. Please, if you have a pen, please write down, or if you don't have a pen, think of who's a big client. What is a big client that would take your business to the next level? This is going to be very important for ongoing for the presentation. We'll also facilitate the question and answer session at the end. If you can write down who's the big client that you think will take your business to the next level. Just click through the next slide.
Yeah, go ahead and just hit return. Return. And then, all right, has everybody got it? Everybody know it? All right.
There's only one right answer, so get it right.
Now that you've written that, erase that name from your mind. Why? No single client should make or break your business.
Sneaky.
I used this analogy when I was getting ready to leave Verizon. I give somebody a $1 bill for 4 quarters. The $1 bill represented somebody who had a big client. The quarters were somebody who had just multiple clients. If each one of them were to lose their clients, who would be worse off?
Yeah.
The $1 bill guy. So what happens is,
Well, and that's where you see a lot in Shark Tank. People come in and say, oh, I have a contract with Walmart. And they go, oh, great. How many reorders do you have? 0. Well, then maybe you're not as successful as you think you are. My business partner, as a 40-year veteran of entrepreneurship, his full-time business has 5,000 clients. Losing one client isn't really going to hurt them that much. But back when, I also call him Dad, by the way, so he's doubly invested in the company. But when he was in the roofing industry, it took him 4 years to get the big job. And it was because he had done 90 roofs, 100 roofs before that allowed him to be prepared. And it wasn't the big job, it was a big job that put him on that level for other people at that level to see him and help him establish that reputation. To the point where in the last 5 years of the roofing company he ran, he didn't lose a single job on the municipalities or the large skiing mountains nearby.
right, and just think of the last Super Bowl for those of you who watched it or those who tuned out because of the bad call in the NFC Championship game against the Saints. The first drive the Patriots had took 9 minutes. There was no one big play, but 9 minutes worth of playing football, little by little. And the reason for that was to keep the opposing all-star quarterback off the field. So when you're doing your business, it's going to be those little steps and clients that can take you where you want to be.
So we're going to talk now about how to find your ideal clients. And Chris, let's take off and run.
Okay, so first one on here, Dustin,
Yes.
why don't you have your ideal client?
Why don't you have your ideal client? It could be any number of things, any number of reasons. We're going to address several potentials. Peden Accounting Services tells you what they do and who they charge. I don't know if it necessarily stands out from all of the other accounting services company. My company is called Proven Media Solutions. Tells you what we do. It stands out pretty well, we think, in the market. But who was the gentleman when I presented last time who said that it doesn't necessarily, the acronym doesn't actually look very good. And secondly, it's a hard website to type in, provenmediasolutions.net. So there are advantages and disadvantages to a lot of names or brands. One company that has really no issues with their name and brand is 1-800-GOT-JUNK. It's their website, it's their phone number, it's what they do. You know everything you need to know about that company from their name. It is a brilliant name or brand. What is a challenge that your company may have because of your name or brand?
So the next question is, are you going for the right target market?
So for example, if you're fishing and you want to go for trout, you go where the trout are. If you want to go for salmon, you go where the salmon are. If you're going for deer or elk, when you're doing all these different things, you go where the animals are that you're trying to catch and shoot in some cases. You have the right bait, have the right location. All these things must be considered. In business, if you're a restaurant, are you with the right location? Are you seeking the right target audience? Are you do you have the right tools, the right mentality, and the right strategy to reach the people that you want to be your clients?
Yeah, for instance, like I work with consultants and contractors and people who do that kind of work. Would I necessarily go on an interest? I'm probably saying that incorrectly. Interest to look for clients? Probably not, unless I had something that was relevant to them and I thought somebody who looks on Pinterest would go there. So another question, are your financials skewed? So are you having too many costs in order to maintain that client? You're probably not going after the big client. So is it going to cost too much? What is going to be your return on investment with that? Also, here's another one that kind of, I'm having a hard time wrapping myself around. Are you charging too little? Because that may scare people off. There's a lot of talk, especially in my industry, about going down to Jackson Hewitt or to the $99 tax guys that you get from the mail flyers. How many of you all feel confident that they know what they're doing if they're only charging $99? Not a big show of hands. So are you pricing right to attract the client so that they believe that you are the right person for this job?
Another thing to consider on the financial front too is, are you charging enough that you're actually making money? So if you charge $100 an hour for the client, it's a 10-hour contract. Call it 2 hours in the front end to do the sale and do the contract, plus an hour of wrap-up. You've done now 13 hours for the $100 an hour contract. Now your per hour rate is actually a lot lower than a lot of people realize it is. Once you account for all those factors, you have to drive, you have to buy them lunch. There's a lot of other costs, time and financial, often associated with getting a client. So your rates have to account for that.
So the next thing to consider is, do you have the wrong team? So I could probably go and hire some high school kids to come and help me with tax returns. Probably not a good idea. I mean, granted, I studied, I got far over ahead in my accounting class than anyone else, but I'm a little different than everybody. That's a story for another time. But do you have the right people in place? I was talking with Ron today about social media and setting up Google alerts for keywords. Do you have somebody who can come in and think out of the box who would be able to do that?
I know. Raise your hand here if you're not a Patriots fan, or if you hate the Patriots or have some sort of negative opinion. All right, well, I'm a Patriots fan, so I'm better than you all. But Tom Brady.
Eagles fan.
What's that?
I'm an Eagles fan.
Tom Brady has the right team. He has the right coach. He has the right trainers. He has the whole team around him that helps him win. In the roofing industry, it's very different than gutter cleaning, which is what my father does now. Roofing has the foreman, you have the two highly skilled people and two laborers. Everyone gets paid differently, they have different responsibilities. In gutter cleaning, it's only two people on the job, and they have to be able to do an invoice, be honest, smile at the customer, treat the customer well, because they're far more independent than what is often the case in the roofing industry. Do you have the right team? So, looking at your business model, and writing this down next to that name that you crossed out, is why don't you have your ideal client? What in your business model do you think could be causing some problems for you?
Then we gotta set a path to solution. We gotta do it one more time, listen, I put too many bells and whistles in here. Are your financials set up to handle this? I think there was a conversation, Ron, you might have been talking about with your financials. Do you have that line of credit in place so that a big job comes in, you are able to buy the materials ahead of time so that you can take care of the client? Now, for service providers, we have some coaches in here. Do you have the technical setup in order to be able to serve them, have a call with somebody so that you can help them? I had a client out in Hawaii that I had to get onto FaceTime. I didn't have FaceTime at the time, now I do, but I was set up to do that and was able to afford it. So, Dustin, go ahead.
Excuse me. Regarding your target market, have you done market research? I've talked to a lot of people who say that they don't know what their pricing is, they're not sure what it is, they haven't researched the market. And as your business grows, water finds its own level. Should you increase your prices? Because yes, you might lose some of the smaller fish, but are you going to get more big fish because your price automatically creates some sort of credibility with your market? Where you're getting, in my case, my marketing for my firm, Proven Media Solutions, is getting in the press. So the Washington Post has been 12 weeks now been promising to publish me on the emissions scandal. Virginia Business has published me twice. Those add credibility to my target market. Getting published at Home Business Magazine, where I have a regular column, doesn't add as much credibility on the publication, but the topics I choose, like whom I interview for those columns, do add that credibility and appeal to my target market. And we talked earlier about having the right team. So do you have to have people on your team who you've hired? Do you have freelancers? Or are you in the sort of business where you really don't need a team around you for whatever reason, you're able to produce the amount of money for your firm that you desire?
Exactly. On my team, we just have the two of us, my wife, who knows quite a bit, so she's a great hire, and we are looking to expand and find other accounts who could help take us to the next level, as well as the administrative stuff that will allow us to focus on serving the client. So who are we going to have on your team that's going to help you get those ideal clients?
One of my people I've met through my professional work in the last year is Susan Trigger. She's a business consultant. She's on the membership committee at the Tower Club in Tyson's Corner. And I interviewed her for one of my columns in Virginia Business, where she talked about a client of hers who didn't want to hire a higher-end administrative assistant in the office. But that's what we've always done. We've had a low-paid person because we could save money that way. And the strategies that they were going to implement could not be implemented by a lower-paid person. They hired somebody who was of a higher skill level, and I don't remember the exact numbers. You'd have to go Google Dustin Siggins, Virginia Business, give me some more clicks. But you'd have, believe it was at least 100% return on the investment from hiring that higher end person. That person was the right fit, was the right person for that team. And if you can't solve it yourself, hire someone.
Okay, of course we put the accountants on here, the first one off. Plug myself whenever possible. But what we do, we have all these people who know what they're doing. Why try and reinvent the wheel and try and learn everything yourself? I mean, I spent a lot of time, my wife can testify how much I spent studying for the CPA, CMA, CFM exams. Taylor has to do a lot of studying to keep up in his industry. Why would you go to somebody, or why would you do it yourself when you have to go in, not only figure out what you know you need, but there are gonna be things that you don't know that you need to know. I deal a lot with tax strategies. I talked with somebody the other day about hiring their kids in their business, and the response, wait, you can do that? I can actually put them to work so they pay for their cereal that they're eating? There are tax breaks that, you know, someone would know. There's people who know how to design websites. There are people who know how to issue in the press, 1, 2 here. And there are people who can coach you to live in your best life. Don't try and do it by yourself. There are people here, it's worth your time to be able to go and find somebody who knows what they're doing so that you can concentrate on what you're skilled at.
Well, and not to twist the knife too much deeper, but Tom Brady's not a lineman. He's a quarterback. But he needs to have the lineman around him.
Some people like to hit him like he's a lineman, but
And whether you're hiring internally or externally, get it done. Which of course leads to audience participation, part 4. What's a possible solution to your challenge to finding or getting your ideal client? What is a possible solution to your business's challenges to finding, achieving, and then continuing to pursue your ideal client?
And this is kind of a deep thought question. We're just kind of provoking. This will probably wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I mean, business owners, how do y'all wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or how can I do this? Because I certainly have done that time or two. I see Anthony nodding his head, and I know that it's, as a business owner.
My 11-month-old wakes me up at 3 in the morning, but you know.
That's, yeah, it's training for business.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's it.
So the final thing here is be patient and trust your solution. There is no silver bullet. There is no tomorrow I'm going to hit my goals. Success takes time, it takes patience. Again, the Patriots had 9 minutes on the field. Broke down the numbers some time ago with my dad. Football, it's 7 months between the end of the NFL season and the beginning of the next one. You're watching the game for 3.5 to 4 hours. There's only 60 minutes of football that's actually played, but in that 60 minutes, the ball only moves for 11 minutes, according to the Wall Street Journal. 1% of success is when the ball is moving. The rest of it takes place in the huddle, on the sideline, in the off season, in the training, and who you pick for your team. It takes a lot of work and time and patience to achieve 1 Super Bowl, never mind the, 12 that we have? To achieve success.
Okay. I think the next one's on there. So, question you ask yourself, how much time can you give your solution to work? We're talking about being patient. So, it's not, this isn't going to happen overnight, and you're always going to be tweaking. I'm a golfer, and the famous saying is that a golfer goes out and shoots 55. What does he ask himself walking off the course? Why did I miss the putt at 54? So you're always going to be thinking about how to solve something. You got to just got to give it some time to work.
Well, the other thing to think about, how much time can you give your company, your plan to work? And that's not a question, sometimes that's a strategic question, sometimes it's, well, geez, we have a big client potentially coming next month. I can't give it a lot of time, I've got to get that client. What am I missing that this presentation showed me that I need to get in place? Early on, before I started Proven Media Solutions, I talked to somebody who had a really great opportunity. I could have done this particular contract and I estimated between 80 and 100 grand a year, probably working 20 hours a week, and kept my full-time job. I didn't present it well. I didn't have the right team around me, and I didn't get it. I don't know if that's why I didn't get it, but it certainly didn't help. And because I didn't have the right team around me, I lost out. They didn't have the solution ready to go. Now, so again, it's subjective to your objective situations. You have a big client coming next month, and you don't have a whole lot of time. If you're a startup and you have a 5-year plan or 5-year goals, then maybe you have 3 years to accomplish those things. So again, we're not giving anyone a rubber stamp solution, a silver bullet solution. We're just trying to make sure that you take something away from this presentation that is of value to you. That's it. Audience participation, part 6.
And we'd also like to hear some stories about going after a big client and what helped you succeed. We have some successful business owners in here. And so was there one that you just went after, you got and you said yes? And then how did you get them? Any stories?
I give you a story of the opposite.
Go ahead.
I can tell you a story. So, groups. 85%, 75% of my business, 85% of my time, ship stuff all over the country, constantly working, making some real nice bank. Elections went through, Koch brothers decided they're gonna consolidate all their groups into one management group, and of course, I was not the promotional products or temporary apparel guy anymore. And it just, like, stopped. Overnight, boom. And I went from, well, I lost 75% of my business. Literally lost 75% of my business. So, the idea of $1 in 4 quarters, it rings completely true. Don't bank everybody on one thing. It sounds real nice. And you're like, oh, good. But it can end like out of nowhere. And I don't know how many people I've run across afterwards who say, yeah, I had the exact same thing. Realtor said, yeah, I sold this one bank, or I was the guy for this one bank in a bank op. Boom.
So how'd you recover from that?
Just basically just started going back out and pounding and networking and some of the people who know me, Phil probably knows, I disappeared for 2 years and then all of a sudden I was back on the networking scene again, and it was like, being divorced all of a sudden. But that's the only way you can.
Yeah, so like we're talking about the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, if any of you all remember Nebraska football all the way back then.
Yeah.
A little bit of time, little tiny actions can lead up to clients. Anybody else have any big stories? All right.
It's
I've
also,
got one that involved a client of mine.
Yeah.
And he was in the HVAC industry, and he was doing very well. Had a lot of small clients.
Yep.
Keeping everyone, he did primarily residential and small commercial. But he won a bid on a very large restaurant chain that's coming into the metropolitan area. And he handled all their HVAC, all of their refrigeration. It was a huge deal for him. Gonna make he was gonna make outrageous money doing this. As soon as he got all that stuff in, that company filed bankruptcy. They were able to come back into business because of the chapter they filed, but they filed bankruptcy. Gary ended up getting literally pennies on the dollar compared to what he was going to do. It almost put him out of business. And, that involved hiring a lawyer to go and try to get money and everything. Well, he ended up basically having to almost start over. Because he had to hire extra staff to get this job done and all this equipment. So to get the big fish sometimes, you gotta make sure that it's the right big fish.
Yep.
it also is important, not just during your business, but at the end of the life cycle of your business. I sat through a presentation from a mergers and acquisitions expert at the Tower Club who talked about how if you have 1 or 2 clients, you're far less attractive, even if they're very large clients, you're far less attractive to someone who wants to buy you out, because if one of those clients leaves, again, you lose 75% of your business, your value isn't just 75% lower. And so having a diverse number of clients also increases the value at the end of the life cycle of your business when you want to get out and go sit on a beach somewhere.
Excellent. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, I have this conversation every week with lots of sales guys that I train. You have to hit your target market. You've got to go after your target market, period. There's other stuff you can do, but you have to hit the target market, you build up the target market, and in between that, you come across these things through networking or just, you don't, go for the whales. They're going to come if you have your head down and you're focusing on your target market. I remember I got with the steakhouse, one of my clients for processing. I got Pandora National for processing, and it costs hundreds of millions of dollars a month. But those came across by accident, through networking, through people that knew people there. And I got a lot more people involved. It's such a big deal. But you come across those things by accident. It's like whenever you're looking for a boyfriend or girlfriend, right? You can't ever find one, and then all of a sudden it just happens. Off to the side. I said, oh, okay. So things happen. And so it's just, when you're looking for stuff, you never find it, never fail, right?
Yeah, a little deeper than that.
Yeah.
So it works out that way, but you have to focus on your target market. The other thing I want to go back to is is your brand. That is so critical. I mean, I can ask you two questions. One is, what does Nike mean to you guys?
What?
Nike, what does the word Nike mean to you?
Right.
Just do it. What does the word Adidas mean to you? Okay? What does your brand mean to somebody? When they look at you, do they think excuses? They think that's the person I want to be with and win? You gotta think about your brand, I think is critical. And, starting out everything, or just working in everything. What do people think about you? And think about the Nike, think about Adidas. Well, easy. What do you think about you?
Now again, your name doesn't, we talked about, 1-800-GOT-JUMP, what they do and how they do it and everything else. Wells Fargo, I had to look up why they call the name, Wells Fargo. To me, it doesn't mean money or banking or finance. But whatever they did decades ago helped build it up. So when people hear Wells Fargo, we know what it is. So maybe they didn't have the most instinctive name, but everything else they did to build up their brand. So when we use these examples, again, we're not saying you have to change your name if it's XYZ company, but whatever you do underneath that name also has to build up the brand if it's not the name itself per se.
Absolutely. You think about like Xerox, you're gonna Xerox something, you grab a Kleenex.
Right.
Brand names, man.
So, in addition to thinking about trying to realize what people think about you, what do you want them to be thinking, and work backwards from there?
Yep.
Correct.
Absolutely. Now we have here George Siragusa, I'm gonna butcher his name, for the Small Business Development Center here, comes in his office hours. Actually, he's speaking at the end of the month.
He is.
He's gonna give an intro session. He will help you get set up for success. So you sit down with somebody, get yourself organized. George is incredibly intelligent. So please make use of that. He's gonna be here, set up some time with him through Centerpiece. Man.
I know it's a restaurant business because our foods are product. So
Yeah.
also our services are product. So when we don't have the proper team, because when I first came in, I fired a bunch of my 18-year-olds, unfortunately, because they were too busy being on their phones and too busy being on social media. So, and I told them, either you stop it or you can take care of the guests. Because I was getting guest complaints about how their server was never there. So our brand is our food. If my food's not coming out of the kitchen fast enough, it's not coming out the way it's supposed to look, we have to be able to do that quality control to be able to send it back. And I have to eat that cost on my food costs, but at the same time, it's the guest perception. So I look on Yelp, I look on Google reviews, I look on, all those, Facebook and everything like that. I look on all that to see what people are saying about my brand. Because if they're saying negative things about my brand, well then what am I doing wrong? So you always have to I always look at the social media side of it, I guess because I'm young, I'm a youngin, as they would say. So I'm young, and so I look at Facebook and I look at the perception that people are having of my brand, because that's my personal representation of me at that point.
But also one question, do you all serve champagne?
Pretty
So, and the reason you don't is that's not your target market.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's about your team, but you're also serving a certain, you wouldn't have an 18-year-old at Ruth Chris Steakhouse. I only went there once, I didn't like what the prices were, so what I wasn't sure was a date actually became a date, but I had to pay for it.
I mean, I work with Sierra now. I work since I turned 18, I work in 6 different restaurants.
Oh, wow.
One of them being a mom and pop, family-owned pizza place in Noseville. And there were 4 people on staff. Total. The owner, his wife,
Their son, and you.
She was 13. She was yes.
Right, yeah.
But he did business.
Right.
But he was officially on staff.
Right.
Their manager, who was also their cook, their server,
Right.
and we all did everything. So there was no time to sit on our phone, time to do anything. It was either we were all doing nothing,
Yeah.
and if we were all doing nothing, that was a very, very, very bad thing.
Yes, indeed.
Or we're all getting our butts handed to us. There's no middle ground in a place like that. And when I worked at Red Robin, where we had days where we're
want to just tune everyone in right along this track. I just want to tune you into the peripheral things that you're doing, just in general, like in an environment like this, or when you're out networking and things that are making people, that are changing people's opinion of the way that you operate your business. Like when we have businesses in here that come in and leave an enormous mess, that's a reflection of the way that they operate and the way that they perceive the space or whatever. And so it's not just the marketing that you're putting out, it's the way that you're operating in the public in general. Because this is a very public space and people see the way that you operate. So, and in everything that you do, if you come across incorrectly at a networking event, it's the same way. Those things start to take shape. There was an insurance agent in the chamber that used to send out an email to everyone that attended an event saying that it was nice to meet them, that he enjoyed meeting them when he didn't meet them. And he developed this reputation, I shouldn't have said insurance agent, but he developed this reputation to the point where people started saying things to him because it was obvious that he wasn't operating from an honest, from a genuine level. So those kind of things all impact the way that people perceive your business and the way that you operate.
And this is true, even even the smaller things. Uriah, and who's the journalist gentleman? So I used to be a journalist. If you send out an email with a request for comment with 3 or 4 typos, are you credible anymore to the person you're trying to get a comment from? If I have typos in an op-ed that I'm writing for a client and they catch those, that's bad quality control on my end. My client may not consider me credible. And so little, really tiny things, depending on what you're in. If you're putting up dirty forks, no one's going to come back. If you have great marketing, but your restaurant door is cracked or your website stinks,
Exactly.
the first impression is, oh, nice to meet you, Dustin. Oh, your website's bad. I don't know if our website's not bad for the record, but as an example. In fact, you should visit our website, provenmediasolutions.net. But if it's bad, it doesn't matter what your marketing is. You didn't show up at game time.
Any other comments, questions? All right, well, thank you all for your time. We're going to close a little earlier than we normally do, but we're happy to answer any questions, talk to you all, or just meet you all.
And stay in network.
Yes.
We have, coffee is full for July, but we have spaces open in August, a couple, and then we're starting to fill September, so.
And speakers as well. Casey?
One last note is to follow up with people who
Yes.
have said no or not right now in the last couple of months or years. I followed up with a lady who, her son was autistic. She was referred to me by a teacher I used to teach with over 15 years ago. And I followed up with her after 6 months. I said, oh, did you find someone that could work with your son? And she's like, no, we're actually needing someone to work with both our sons, but we're looking for someone in-house to come to their house. Well, back then I wasn't going to people's house. My schedule changed, and I actually have an initial session with her to tutor both of her sons in her home, which of course elevates the fee. So follow up with people who have said not now or maybe later or no, because their situation may have changed and your situation may have changed, so that you can get those people as clients and get them back in.
I 100% agree with you because we do catering, and so I have catering today. They've had a bad experience through another Uno's, and they came back to Uno's, and so my regional book sales marketer actually presented us and said, I know you're good with things, here you go, and dropped it in my lap, and I'm like, all right. So as the general manager, I'm taking it over to them, I'm setting it up, I'm meeting the people, and give them that little Uno swag that I got, So it's very important to talk to clients that you haven't either talked to in a while, because maybe they changed their mind, maybe they have the money to be able to afford things now. Like with catering for us, I've talked to the hospital before, and they literally said, yeah, we don't have that kind of money right now, but maybe later. And then I called them back 4 months later, and they're like, yeah, actually, go ahead and do catering with us. So there's a lot that you can play off of.
And by clearly identifying what their obstacle is to doing business with selective about landing those clients. And we didn't talk about that during your questions, but maybe suddenly you're able to address that, whatever obstacle that happened to be, or maybe there are other ways that it will become not an obstacle, but a stepping stone.
Ma'am?
Yes, actually, touching base on what you guys did talk about in terms of pricing it right. I just started my company this year, so I kind of started out with pricing it very low. So I go in there and I'll kind of tell them what I do, which is a little bit different because I'm a counselor and I'm trying to do more of a home base. And it's like I price it and they're like, I don't get a call back. So when was it this week? I met with somebody and I did price it right, and called me back yesterday to just sign a contract to work.
Who's making wins at the Center for 1 Million Cups? Does everybody need to win?
Yeah, I thought pricing it lower would make me get more clients, but I guess, yeah.
This is our make your own parties, and I work with one of the autism schools here in Manassas, and I have to make sure that when I lower the price, because it is very hard having a disabled child. I used to work with autistic kids, because my master's degree is in forensic psychology, so I used to work with autistic kids, and I lower the price, but I gotta make sure that my price point is still there. That what I'm putting out, the product I'm putting out, how much does that cost me versus how much they're paying? So am I getting any kind of profit margin on it? Is there any kind of profit on it? Yes, you can love to help people and you can give as much as you want, but then you're gonna go out of business. It's just gonna make you go out of business.
But also, how do you, when you follow up with people, as Ellen mentioned, make sure you're not harassing them, right?
Yeah.
Make sure that you're giving them, someone gave me a really good piece of advice, and something you learn in journalism, but someone put it on a fine point for me earlier this year. Every time you reach out, add value. So a lot of people have monthly newsletters. My company, we do about a newsletter every 2 months, maybe every 2.5. We don't want to harass people. Our first one included Mark Cuban interview in the subject line. People want to read that. This last one announced the launch of our syndicated column, which helps people. Actually, I'm bringing Chris on to be our accountant. He's also decided to be a syndicated partner with our column because it adds value to newsletter and social media. By having the right kind of information to reach your target market and following up with them, you continue to stay on the back of their mind in a non-harassing sort of way. And that can bring that later value months down the road. Either you bump into them and they go, hey, you had that thing happen the other month that was really interesting, as opposed to, oh my God, another email I'm going to unsubscribe from. So make sure that when you know your target market, I didn't get your name, sir, the sales guy there. Michael, I apologize. But you said it right. Find your target market and then keep pressing them and making sure, salespeople, it's not just about talking, it's also about listening and understanding what they want. And so when you do it, whether it's a newsletter, social media, networking events, make sure that what your brand is and how you're framing that brand is in the way that they want to hear it from you.
I just want to add before we break up, as your story just reminded me of this. So there are some new people here, and this is not a normal session of 1 Million Cups.
Oh, true.
The way that we do it is that, and this is the way that it's happening all across the country. There's about 120 chapters at this point of 1 Million Cups. Normally, one presenter gets up that's an entrepreneur that's a key player in their business or organization, and they feel a need to present ideas that they feel like they need to background, or they present challenge questions. So they generally have like 5 or 6 minutes to give a brief presentation about where they are in their business, and then the rest of the session is designed around helping them with their challenge questions or hashing out new ideas with them or whatever the case may be. So this is an info session, and actually Georgia's session at the end of the month is also an info session, but in between there, like Christina's presenting in the normal format of 1 Million Cups. So we don't do very many info sessions, but this just happens to be one of them. I just want you guys to know that going forward, so that when you decide to apply to present, you'll know what's expected.
All right, thank you all. Have a great week and stay cool.
Yeah, right?